first. I haven't looked at the bottom in a while.
I got mine pulled up. I'm ready.
All right. Yeah.
I'll go last first. Just
Okay. I will start us off. Then.
Do it.
Cool.
Let's see here. Okay.
Oh, actually, before we hop into it, do we want to share how many movies we watched from this past year?
You want to do it now?
Let's do it now.
Me and Justin have been doing a competition.
Oh shit.
For who could watch more 2019 releases this year. We've hidden our lists on Letterboxd for the last month, so I think I have a safe kind of guess where Justin's at. Justin has no idea where I'm at.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see where you land. But first, Nick, how many movies did you watch for 2019?
49. So not a ton.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
That's like, I feel like that's more than you usually end
Yeah,
up with.
and I will say I obviously I knew I wasn't gonna have nearly as much as you guys, so I didn't intentionally seek out the movies that I thought my personality that I needed to see the most first. Yeah. So I think there are probably movies I haven't seen that I would think are better than these movies, but in terms of my favorite, I think I probably saw the movies that I would have.
I think that's
considered
probably
my favorite.
fair. Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So,
All right, where are you at, Boo Boo?
Okay.
I am.
Yeah. Where are you at?
Do we want to guess each other, or do we want to just kind of jump into it?
We can guess. You
just want to reveal?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm 151.
Whoa!
I am 155. I'm tied with Shelby.
Oh my god!
Damn it!
Nice.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew you. I didn't know how far behind. Like because
You actually. Yeah. What?
151. That's like the most. Like 155. So that's like I beat my own record, but then you beat me. That's.
I tied with Shelby. I tied with Shelby was what happened, which I don't think she'll be happy about. But
yeah, I'll give her a text. Be like, Matt's got you.
Well, you actually started to gain a lead on me because there was like 3 weeks where I was having like family trouble, so I stopped watching anything because I was just like, I basically shut down and just played Jedi Fallen Order for like.
Hell yeah.
A week straight and just beat it, and then was like, oh shit, I think you got ahead of me.
I'm sure I was ahead of you for a bit.
And then I caught up to you, and I think I got a little past you. I think I got like 5 past you, and then you caught up to me again like last week, or I think like a week and a half ago, and I was like, okay, now I need to like, now I should like.
I thought you would at least be in the like 140s. I didn't think you were gonna like surpass me. So good work.
Thank you.
Nick will now be the one to beat us both next year. That was a lot, though. I don't think I would. Watch that many. Again.
You can have your crown back after this year. I'm not doing it again. But
you don't want Joey Chestnut me?
I think it was. What I will say is as much like. So you guys don't know this. I've watched a lot of shit this year.
Cool.
But I think it was a really interesting experiment to see how you judge things when you have so much input. I don't know if it's the same for you.
No, I agree. And this is a thing that Keaton and I would kind of get into a discussion about. It's like they would be under the... They would only want to watch like good stuff. They wouldn't want to watch bad stuff. But I'm like, you want to balance that out. Whether you go into it with the intention or not, knowing it's gonna be bad or not. It's good to like have a well-rounded like idea of film and have a balance to your list as opposed to like here's all the good shit versus all the bad shit.
Well, and I think that what I found is that there were a lot of things this year that I probably would not have ventured to watch and would have assumed that were incredibly bad actually ended up enjoying quite
that's a big thing.
A great example is just for the fuck's sake of doing it, I watched the Angry Birds movie 2.
Oh, right.
Okay.
And it's actually like an incredibly clever little movie, and I did some research, and it was like somebody who had been an animator in Hollywood for like 15 years. Yeah. It was his like first chance to do a feature. So it actually is like, I think it's one of the more clever animated movies that I saw this year, and I've seen a lot of them.
I went into watching Boss Baby thinking it was going to be terrible, and I had a fine
Boss
time with
Baby's
it.
pretty fun.
It's fun, yeah. So it's like I feel like sometimes you just got to take that risk too, and just you never know if you'll end up watching a good film.
Yeah.
It could go one way or the other. It's just what the worst offender and what I would put on my like bottom list is like if it's so dull or boring, I wouldn't want to entertain it.
Yeah, there's some of those on I think my bottom 10, but there's some truly, truly horrible things.
Let's jump into it then.
Yeah.
Matt, would you like a flavor of sparkling water or
Just plain's fine.
cool? All right. Let's see. So I don't know, but I mean, it's one of those things where my bottom 10, you kind of
guess
just
I could
feel
do-
generally the same. I don't know if they're necessarily all more awful than theirs.
Yeah.
Number 5. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna throw in some of the Lion King.
Some of the line.
The new. I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
the whole thing. Yo, Reese is here. What's up, Reese? Thank you
Hi,
very much
Reese.
for stopping by. We literally just started. Okay, so my 5th. I'm gonna put my 5th the worst movie of the year as the Lion King remake.
Yeah, it's a bad movie.
Wasn't it like fucking 2.5 hours too?
It's
It's
2
up
hours
there.
long,
It
and they
was-
didn't add any scenes from
No.
the hour and 20-minute long animated Lion King, so it's
Yeah.
like 30 minutes longer for no reason. It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
I found and then so like the two actors who were Timon and Pumbaa, Seth Rogen and the other guy.
Like Billy Eichner.
Yeah, as I recall, they were both like speak singing, and and obviously Seth Rogen is not a singer at all, and so
Yeah.
and, if that's intentional, that's fine. It's supposed to be kind of oriented
Yeah.
to kids, but I just found just everything about the kind of major decisions for that movie felt so lifeless.
Yeah.
I actually think that they're the best part of that movie.
Really? Okay.
Because I think they seem like the only actors in the entire movie who are actually like trying to give it something, whereas everybody else I feel like just came in to like make a paycheck.
Donald Glover especially.
Donald
I
Glover was
shocked.
asleep
Yes!
recording his lines.
I was
for...
shocked
Oh,
at
yeah.
how little effort his voice acting
Yeah.
was. He was
Him
I don't
and
know.
Solo and
So
this,
weird.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
are you a good actor?
Yes, he's a good actor.
He's
I think
he's a good
Yes.
good comedic actor. I think it's a
Yeah.
toss up on whether
what drama? Well, this is America.
Yeah, I think he's a good.
It's a dramatic role.
I think he's a good
It's a
entertainer.
very scary role.
Yeah,
But
he's
as an actor, I wouldn't put him. Well, I mean, he's still still fairly fresh. I would say, like he's
Yeah.
still got stuff. To show. So
He's-
I'm like,
yeah.
yeah.
He's young. He's got
Yeah.
a long way to go.
Yeah.
Thomas is here too. Hello,
Thomas.
Hey, Thomas.
Star Wars and Game of Thrones Season 8 were Reese's favorite movies of the year. Wow, buddy.
I
That's
believe that
great.
about Reese.
That's wonderful.
The
hey,
con,
well, I
the
mean,
con man. The
that
con
there
man.
was, I think it was, and Cats. Great.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
you guys are bringing the glory.
Cats fucking rules.
Well, yeah, in a way.
putting
Okay,
it
but
out
yeah,
there.
okay, finishing up. I haven't even said anything about this
Oh,
guy
yeah, go
movie.
ahead.
Yeah, so, yeah, the animation is all very, good, and, I want to say it's pretty and stunning, but, yeah, the voice actors are really shockingly asleep, I think is a perfect word that you used. Everything about the story is just a slog. It's so fucking slow. It goes by at a snail's pace, and yeah, I was trying very hard to find things to enjoy, and I really didn't enjoy anything about it. Yeah, Lion King.
All right, my number 5 worst movie of the year is 2019's Hellboy, starring David Harbour.
Yeah.
Because it is fucking atrocious. It's
Yeah.
like, it's fascinating because I don't think David Harbour is a good actor, but you can't even blame David Harbour because the movie's just so dysfunctionally bad of its own accord. Like, it's like, I mean, Justin watched it. There's that, 20-minute sequence where it's 8 layers of CG where he's fighting the weird giant troll thing,
Oh yeah.
and it's
And
8
another Muse song plays during that.
Yep.
and you're just like, what the fuck is
They
happening?
play Psycho.
Psychos?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you mean in Hellboy?
In
Yeah.
Hellboy.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
For some
Sorry.
reason,
Sorry. No.
okay,
Sorry,
let's
my
move-
bad.
go
My
on,
bad.
go on,
Yeah,
Matt.
keep going.
No, I mean, I don't have that much to say. It's just a bad movie. David Harbour doesn't do a good job. The plot's like virtually incoherent.
Damn.
The CG is like abysmally out of place and just doesn't work. It's just a train wreck of a movie. But
Nice.
nice.
Interesting.
I watched something last night where it was like, or yesterday where it was like, are they playing Muse again? I think it was Abominable. They played 2 different Muse songs.
They're on the rise, dude.
Muse. I don't know why they're so bad about like not picking good projects to allow people to use their music.
I think they're out
that's
for
fair.
I think they're gonna do a James Bond film anytime
Twilight.
soon.
And they,
Oh yeah.
and Abominable also had "Fix You" by Coldplay,
Oh my!
An oldie but a
Christ.
goodie.
which, by the way, I think is the best joke of the year, and it's an incredibly middling movie. But there's a joke in Yesterday, Danny Boyle's Yesterday.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
this the
Yeah.
Oasis joke?
No, it's he sings Yesterday, and everybody's like, I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know what that is.
Yeah.
I've forgotten about the Beatles. And he's
Yeah.
like, it's the best song. It's one of the best songs ever written. And one of his friends is like, okay, it's good. It's not Coldplay.
Oh, yeah.
It's not Fix You.
Yeah.
And that bit is really good,
a
but
good
that
bit.
movie's not.
Yeah.
So my number 5 for worst movie of the year is a little movie called Unicorn Store.
Oh, yeah.
God,
yeah. I saw that one.
Directed by Brie Larson, starring Brie Larson and Sammy Jackson. It's rough. It's about trying to remember it. It's about this artist who's kind of like has this like kind of who's being shut down all the time for her work, and she's trying to figure out her life, and she ends up being offered a unicorn by Samuel Jackson as long as she does these certain things, and it just feels really dull and lifeless and really cringy and awkward. And the
boss guy. Oh my god.
yeah.
Oh.
It's just really rough around all the edges, and I felt like this is a movie that you could pull scenes out of and put like on the front page of our cringe. It was just, it's just not well done. I don't think it's well executed, and I don't think she's very good in it. And I usually like Brie Larson in dramas, but this is just a little too. I think she leaned into the wackiness a little too much.
Yeah, I have very. I could talk about this movie for a while because it's a very strange movie. I went into it expecting to hate it, and I actually came out of it thinking it was like kind of subpar.
Yeah.
I am so confused about whether, because I interpreted Brie Larson's character as like emotionally stunted.
Yeah.
As in like something happened in her development. But I don't think that's what the intent was.
I think that's what I watched like the first 30 minutes and then I was like, no, I'm good. I don't think that's what the intent.
And
Yeah, I don't think
that's
so
part of
either.
why it was bad. I
Yeah.
think that's part of why, because it's weird because I just kind of, that's how I felt about it, and I couldn't stop feeling that way, and because of that, it actually made me like her character a bit more, because it's kind of like this person who's somehow in one form or another kind of been like not known how to deal with the world, and I felt kind of bad for her. But if that's not the intention and she's just trying to be this quirky, cute character, then I think it's actually kind of offensive.
It's
because
it's
like
unclear what it is. And
exactly.
That's what makes
so
it bad. Is because the theme isn't
Yeah.
the theme and the intention isn't clear at all.
yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it. Is everything about the intent was a miss, and it's so hard to. Yeah, I think multiple people can interpret it different ways. So yeah,
Rough gig.
Yeah, I feel ya.
You know what's not as rough is Always Be My Maybe, which the trailer is playing for now.
I
Fun
do
little
need to
flick.
see that.
Fun little flick.
Okay. Get that shit out of here.
Yeah, there's a great.
Oh, the reveal.
Yeah.
It's a good little bit.
All right, Nick, what you got?
Let's see. I'm gonna go with Extremely Wicked, Shockingly
okay.
Vile, and Evil.
If we did the
Or
top
Evil
10,
and
that'd be
Vile.
at like number 10.
I don't
so
think it is for me. I think it's like halfway down my list. I was just. No, it's pretty low.
Yeah.
It's
not great.
not great, Bob. Let's find out.
Yeah. So Extremely Wicked, I actually do think is more blatantly offensive because if you want to make, there's the movie My Friend Dahmer. Mm-hmm. Have you guys seen that?
Mm-hmm.
I have
watched it recently.
Yeah. So that movie did a really beautiful job of showing how someone who wants to be a good person and wants to be a sweet person can be corrupted by bullying, awkward home life, and just the struggle of it's about like the struggle of adolescence and being pushed really too far. And I think it did a really nice job of drawing a separation of here is this innocent child who wanted to be a good person, wanted to do good things, and awful things happened to him and became something evil. Extremely Wicked is just, it really feels like it's just trying to be look how fucking cool this guy is. And that is so awful and disgusting. And and everything about the way it's shot and maybe not necessarily they're trying to present him as cool, but I feel like they're trying to present the story as something that's cool and intriguing
but I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, it's not. I think it's 108 on my list.
But
it's I don't know. I think that's also a weird thing because that's something that is so prominent about Ted Bundy, and something that everybody would always say about him is how charming he was and how kind of.
That's fair.
I think I think I had different problems with this movie that I found more frustrating.
Oh yeah.
One of them is Lily Collins.
She was not great in it.
Yeah, on a technical aspect, definitely, it's just kind of mediocre.
Yeah.
At best.
Yeah.
I
do think he does a good job.
I think he does a horrible job. I think he is
Zac
awful.
Efron?
Yes.
I can't remember his
I
performance.
fucking thought it was horrendous, and I did not believe anything about what he was doing for 1 second. And I think that also adds to, obviously, the offensive nature of it is taking something that's very. So you were talking about how. The attempt was to show that he was very handsome, extremely charming, and a womanizer, and that's part of his appeal. But I thought the way it was presented, I can definitely see how they were attempting to do that, but they completely failed. And I guess just the way that they showed his charm and there was no depth to it. It was just kind of like he just shows up. We never actually get to see him intricately messing with people. We never get to see him actually doing these things. It's just kind of there to be this happened.
You see him intricately messing with her. But that's, I think also I think a big problem that this movie has is that it can't decide if it's about him or if it's about her.
Yeah,
so it doesn't really do either of their stories justice.
I agree with that because at the end of the day too, it's you don't.
You had to go back and read your review, didn't you?
I had skimmed it, and I said Zac Efron was good in this, but I do think that the relationship isn't dissected that well either.
No.
And if it was more effective in terms of dealing with the relationship, it would have been more interesting. Curious note about this movie, though, is that this movie was on a blacklist for a long time because the original story was that it was about their relationship and something off was with this guy, and he didn't know it was Ted Bundy until the very last page of the script. So it was a cool reveal on paper, but they couldn't do that in the movie, so he had to rework it, and this makes it kind of like a blasé, biopic of a killer.
That would be. I don't know if that would.
That would be cool for a book.
Yeah, it'd be cool for a book. I don't know if it would help the story of the movie.
It would not help the movie at all.
No,
because you don't know how would you. It would be hard to pull in an audience unless you had Fincher, some director of who had interest in the story. But who knows after that? So
yeah.
Anyway,
do you have more to say about this next? Sorry.
Yeah. No. We're all talking about it, of course. I get something from my review that I'd forgotten that this is reminding me is a great example of how I find this offensive is all of the the scoring and the music was very overly dramatic and a lot of the time upbeat.
manipulative? Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, actually, I would say, maybe it tried to be, but I'd say like you got to have that balance of like if it is from his perspective, you know, obviously, okay, the music's upbeat and dramatic, but then it never shifted to the objective perspective of like, look how awful this is. At least that's the feeling I got. And you know, until the very end when everything's revealed and it's like, oh yeah, you did all this shit. Up until that point, like, I guess I felt like the movie was presenting itself like him being a serial killer was going to be a surprise. And you know, if you're maybe like a teenager seeing this in the future and you're going back and watching this, then it would be surprising. But like, I just don't understand the purpose of filming it that way, where it's supposed to be a surprise by the end, because everyone who goes into this movie knows what he is. And it's not just that it's a surprise to the characters, it really feels like it's supposed to be a surprise to us, and I'm just like, what are you doing?
It should be more the tragedy of her having to go through this, and it's not really studied that well. Let me ask you a question. You know that show that Zac Efron is filming right now that he got like a really deadly illness from?
No.
He was like in some foreign country, and he was filming for like Surviving with Zac Efron. It was like a survival show, and he got like a really serious, like almost deadly illness.
Okay.
And he was like hospitalized for a couple days, so he's totally fine now. But had he died, would this still be on your list?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really
That's
bad.
fair.
All right, that's it on that shit.
All right, my number 4 worst movie of the year, and I'm curious because it might be on your list as well, Justin, is Velvet Buzzsaw.
Oh, I
actually got bumped off my list. It's
Did
not
it?
on there anymore. But I'm glad it made it on someone's list.
Velvet Buzzsaw is a real steaming pile of shit.
I have
It's-
actually thoughts on this, but go ahead. Please you first.
It's just very like this movie feels like that douchebag that won't stop talking about how his brother's an art curator. That's just like this movie every 5 minutes, if that, will just be like, hey, I just wanted to remind you that I know terms about the art world. And that's like, it's like a bad movie to begin with. They like, I guess, kind of explain what's happening, but I don't care if they explain or not. It's just like,
I think the concept's cool, but like it's just everyone and you know, art people. I think it's a critique on like the pretension of art people, but the main issue is that just everyone is just such a caricature.
Yeah. There's also an extent to where you can critique the art world, but there's an extent also where you're becoming part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And I think that in this movie, trying to critique pretentious people, I think it is one of the most pretentious films I've seen all year.
It's pretentious while trying to criticize pretension.
Exactly. And
it's a hard thing to do.
I think Jake Gyllenhaal's the only good performance in the movie, and he's
he's rough.
Excessively over the top.
What? I mean, okay.
You love Jakey.
Yes, he's my favorite. He is literally my favorite
Spider-Man
actor.
Far From
He's my
Home,
favorite
number
actor.
one. Number one, baby.
Oh, this is my number 3, baby. No. So everything you've said, I agree with. I do not think this is a good movie. It's a personal thing. I just.
Which is a tragedy because Nightcrawler's fucking.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't have much to say because I agree with everything you said, but just on a personal level, it was an enjoyably bad movie for me. So it's nowhere near my bottom 10.
Right.
But yeah, it's flawed. I found the plot kind of at times a little contrived and hard to follow. Even though the story itself is very simple.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jake does a really great job. His characters, every character, as I recall, was supposed to be hateable, right? Wasn't that kind of the point?
Yeah, but it's like I think there's a point where it's like you hate them, but you love to hate them.
Yeah.
I hated them, and I wanted to not watch them anymore. And when they get killed, it didn't matter to me. Cause
you were just all right, 1 down, 3 to go, and then this movie will be over.
Yeah, it's kind of like watching a really bad horror film, like a Friday the 13th film. It's like, you know, I enjoy Jason killing these people, but should I? You know,
right.
So.
Side note,
like the cyborg stuff. It's so great.
I do love the
in an awful way.
Side note, I think that Toni Collette played the exact same character in this movie in Knives Out.
Oh yeah, the kind of like Valley Girl
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Velvet Buzzsaw.
All right,
yeah, my
Justin.
turn. Fuck.
Yeah, you're up.
Creeps up on me. My number 4 is John Travolta's The Fanatic.
I almost did it 2 days ago
Did
because
you?
it's free on Prime now.
Oh yeah, we paid for it.
I know you did.
Well, so this is by it's by some Limp
It's by
Bizkit.
Fred Durst.
Oh my God,
no,
that's
sorry,
right.
yeah, Fred
Yeah,
Durst.
directed
Yeah,
by
what
Fred
the
Durst,
fuck-
the
what a
front
fucking
man for Limp
idiot
Bizkit.
douchebag.
So it's about a guy who's kind of off his rocker.
I'll
and,
give this one a like.
And he's obsessed with this actor that he admires quite a bit, and he becomes a stalking fan. And his character's named Moose or something. It's absurd. It's really like it's not one of those like it's so bad it's good movies. It's one of those like everything surrounding John Travolta is so bad. He's entertaining to watch, but he only has a few moments where he's so entertaining to watch. And I don't know if they were trying if John Travolta, I don't know where John Travolta's mind space is at with this movie, where he think he's making something terrific, but like
Of course he does. Well, no, seriously. Like, if you're going to sign up for a project like this, you have to.
yeah.
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 There's something, I was trying to find it, but there's some description of this movie that uses the sentence, he uses his weaponized autism to fight crime.
He doesn't find any crime, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I believe that. I'm assuming he commits crimes.
Yeah, I would say so. He does a lot of like self-references, like, you know, he'll do like a Friday the 13th reference, and then he'll be like, how come you don't get that to the actor? And it's like, it's just, you know.
Wait, what? The character will say that to...
Yeah, John Travolta's character will say that to an actor character.
Oh, okay.
Who was like involved, or who like should know the movies.
You know
right,
what else does that?
So,
Six Underground.
Michael Bay, king of them all still. It's just rough and bad and not great.
Yeah, I haven't watched this movie, but I've watched like 3 hours worth of YouTubers reviewing it, so I feel decently familiar. And it seems like a fascinating watch in a terrible way.
I feel
It's free on Amazon Prime now.
There you go.
Woohoo!
I feel like if you really need some time to kill, watch it. But it's like one of those things where it's like my friends we'll do a bad movie night, and then they'll be like, "Let's watch The Fanatic." I'm like, yeah, it's good. It's like it has moments, but I don't want to like.
It's not like an enjoyably bad movie.
I can watch Birdemic like 5 times a year, but like I can't do this.
Red Letter Media made a really their whole gist of their review of this is like they should show this in film classes because it's a perfect example of a movie of like that just keeps making very distinct mistakes that are very obvious.
Yeah,
I thought that was very fascinating.
I think that's a good way of putting it too. So
yeah, it seems interesting that way.
John Travolta.
Okay, fun stuff. Hey guys, let's talk about Star Wars.
Oh, it's that
my
low.
3rd worst movie of the year.
I thought it was gonna be his first worst movie of the year. So.
I mean,
I don't think it's that bad.
Honestly, you could argue.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll jump into it and then we'll get into it.
Okay, so yeah, you know, this has been covered to death, so let's not spend a ton of time.
No.
There's no original commentary
Oh,
to
good.
be had.
You weren't serious about wanting to spend an entire hour talking about Star Wars.
I think he was. I think he's half serious
No,
about it.
no. YouTube has covered it so beautifully.
I think you would
I
just
agree
be
with everything
upset.
YouTube has said.
If you had to talk about this for an entire hour, Nick.
Yeah. Well, I am upset because I am 100% serious in this. Now that this trilogy is over, I like the prequel trilogy much more than this trilogy. I think The Force Awakens as a standalone is obviously a much better movie, but it does nothing original, absolutely nothing aside from, you know, maybe a few character moments, some cool, cute stuff with the Force. The Last Jedi, half of it I really liked, half of it I hated it. Yeah. So on the whole, I think you have to call that a failure. And every single moment of this movie, I was in misery. I thought there was... And actually, I don't know what you guys have heard about the behind the scenes, but what I've heard is that, like, kind of the peak moment of the failure of the behind the scenes is that JJ was, like, in a conference room talking to, like, the studio heads, and there were actors and people outside, and they could hear JJ screaming at them because basically
I've heard this one go around.
Yeah, because basically the studio was like, you have to cancel all this shit that you've chosen to do. We're gonna do this instead. Oh. But I believe that either way, it doesn't matter who fucked it up. Everyone fucked it up. The pacing of it is really my biggest problem. Is that like, oh my god, there are so many scenes, and every scene is so fucking short.
The first 40
so
minutes
fast.
is really rough.
Oh, it's
like
unbelievable.
You're cutting from the starship to the rebel base to raid training to Emperor's place. You're cutting from place to place to place
exactly.
to place. It takes a while to acclimatize to.
Yeah, and we're cutting around everywhere, but the only thing that's happening is characters are going from place to place. Like, they're very rarely ever actually like interacting with something. It's just, I'm gonna go somewhere and meet this guy and we're gonna talk. Okay, we gotta go somewhere else. And that's the entire goddamn movie. I feel so bad for Daisy Ridley because I feel like most people didn't like her performance. I actually thought she was like the only person in the movie who was really trying her ass off, and
I don't agree with
well,
that.
it does. Yeah, I mean, I can see how it can be interpreted the opposite. I also felt like John Boyega. This was my favorite performance he gave out of the 3 movies because I felt like in the first movie.
I fucking love his Force Awakens performance.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
I feel like
good.
Force Awakens more.
I guess, or maybe I don't know. Maybe just it's the reliance on how this script is so awful that I really feel like a lot of these actors are visibly not caring, and John Boyega is one of them. And I actually felt like it helped his performance. Not that he was bad. He was not bad in the other movies.
I would have put Oscar Isaac in that category. That guy's done.
He is, but I still think he somehow finds a way to be the most charismatic
it's Oscar Isaac
person in that film.
Yeah, I think that's
like,
Oscar. It's
I
not
think
his
he's
character.
the best performance in this movie, and you can still tell that he's like, I want to fucking die.
Yeah. So okay, everything with and like they brought back fucking Ian McDermott, and like his performance isn't bad, but the context of
who
Ian
Emperor.
I've got it.
Yeah, but like I thought he did an okay job. However, the context of the material he was given was so shockingly awful, like horrendously, unthinkably, as in they chose the #1 worst possible plot twist they could have chosen that the entire world had already predicted, and the entire world was like, if you do that, that would be the fucking stupidest shit you could do, and they did it verbatim and worse. Fuck this piece of shit. It is the worst Star Wars movie.
So I agree. I do think it's the worst Star Wars movie. I don't know if I think the sequels are better than the prequels. Or I mean, the prequels are better than the sequels. I think they might be evenly matched, maybe. I think a lot of things like Last Jedi left the door open for JJ to kind of do whatever he wanted. Under the guise of like Lucasfilm, I would say don't take the job if you know that you're gonna get this kind of much pushback, and especially like why take the job again if you know that you didn't want to do another Star Wars after setting this up, And this was an opportunity to like have Rose be a compelling character because I feel you feel bad for Daisy Ridley. I feel awful for her because she was completely shafted. My friend said she got Jar Jar'd hard. So I think, and I agree with the whole Emperor not having kind of like any like how he came back to life is never really explained or how he survived. It's absurd. It's bad. On that note, though, love Rey's yellow lightsaber, and I wish that was in the whole movie.
I dig me some yellow lightsaber.
I think in 5 years it'll be more interesting thing to kind of like look back at and kind of like dissect more. It is definitely a movie that is kind of like layered in nostalgia, and isn't quite sure what it wants to do. And while Rian Johnson's Last Jedi is a bit tricky, I do think thematically the sequel films should have kind of studied the idea of being in the gray area, and that's what I really liked about Luke Skywalker's character in that, is that he's a hero that everyone looked up to, but he is human. He has problems. He was tempted by the dark side in that in that weak moment when he was thinking about killing Adam Driver's character. And I wish that was just more explored in these movies, but I think people are more interested in the kind of adventure seeking as opposed to the kind of like thoughtful critique of the hubris of Jedi Order and Sith ego and whatnot. So, and just having 50 Star Destroyers underwater, I'm just kind of like not interested, and just kind of like these huge spectacle things. Like Star Wars is about spectacle, but I also think it's heavily about the characters too. So,
I think like and I'll say that everything about this movie like looks nice. Like just look at this trailer, it looks beautiful. Like it's shot nice, it looks nice. Obviously the effects are great. Honestly, the lightsaber fight between Kylo and Rey, I really like. Just from a technical choreography fight, I really loved it.
No, so that's what I'll say, and I'm staying silent for most of this conversation because I don't agree with most of what you're saying, but I don't care enough about this movie or Star Wars to have an argument about it. But J.J. Abrams is a phenomenal action director. He always has been, and I think the action in this movie does stand to show that. Like, even the spectacle, even if it's not what you wanted from the movie, like, it's impressive. I definitely have to concede all of that, and it's just, it's just such an obvious shame that like the studio heads and producers were like, oh my god, this story is such a fucking train wreck. We need to focus on, we need to have as little time spent on story as possible, as much time is spent maximized on just nice action. And it's like, I would have enjoyed that if there was even a teeny tiny shred of soul in the story. But I felt like 100% of the writing was I haven't seen this in a while.
I just
Don't try to have the high ground.
I'll keep playing this.
No, and that's the thing. It's like I just rewatched all the Star Wars films before this too, and it's like it's like with. We should have a whole Star Wars thing about this in the future, but like
this trilogy doesn't deserve Ewan McGregor.
No, but he does deserve a Disney Plus show. Which
hell yeah, he does,
baby. But it does at the end of the day. It's like whether you like them or not, the prequels did feel like Star Wars. Episode 7 feels like Star Wars, but I remember telling you when the movie came out, I was like, Episode 7's a good place to kind of get everyone back on board. It's Episode 8 and 9 that's going to really matter.
Yes.
Because they reestablished the world, they introduced new characters that were interesting, but then they kind of really didn't do anything exciting with them. I would say the only exception that is kind of like the best thing about the sequels is the character and the performance of Kylo Ren.
Oh yeah,
from Adam Driver. He's terrific in all 3 films.
He is terrific.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say he's terrific in this, but not because of him. It's because I just can picture them being on set and JJ or whoever's there kind of like yelling at the crew that we need to get through this as quickly as possible, guys. Come on, let's just get this over with. And I really feel like Adam Driver especially, his performance felt very rushed because his character development was not there. And oh my god, that fucking kiss at the end.
The fuck, that kiss is awful.
That was like starkly offensive.
That's
because he was
horrifically so bad.
He was so the whole idea of this character is he was so horrifically abusive and cruel to her through the Force, and like there was never even one moment. Like obviously there's kind of the
I think there's 100% moments in The Last Jedi where that.
I agree, but like
no, it's not romance though.
Yeah, it doesn't feel.
It's not that they care about each other. It's that they are both Force users. They've never encountered another Force user in person, so that's unique. And obviously, in Last Jedi, that whole like they were doing a parallel of like sexual discovery with like I think with the Force of them reaching out to each other.
Right, but you can't deny that that's there.
What
the romance?
What's your point?
Not the romance, but like
there is no romance.
The connection.
The connection.
Yeah,
but the only reason they are connected is because they are both alone and there is no one else in the world like them. They have nothing in common. They are sworn enemies. He tortures her. And abuses her. Like everything. So
I guess. Oh well, yeah. So no, everything you said is valid. But so then your feeling on the kiss then is that it's.
I don't care.
Okay.
Okay, if you
That's
look
fair,
at
that's
that,
fair.
if you look at that scene,
I love Star Wars.
okay, if you look at that scene where literally 2 people die in 10 seconds, where one of them that's the whole thing.
Oh, you were
is
the
that
2 of them.
She
Yeah.
dies, and then he brings her back, and then he kisses her, and then he dies. If the kiss is the worst thing that you take out of that fucking hot train wreck of a
Yeah.
scene, like, I get that the kiss is bad, but literally killing your main character and then bringing her back to life in 35 seconds
Yeah.
is so much worse than that kiss.
I would honestly say both. I forgot
Yeah.
that happened. Honestly, I think both of those things are like equally awful for different reasons. So yeah, that's
The
totally, that's
idea
totally valid.
that a Jedi can be like this messiah figure that can heal people. I don't know if that's ever been
It's
established.
yeah.
I don't care about the fucking books or
I know,
video games.
I agree.
But it's never been established in the movies where fucking Ian McGregor can go down Anakin Skywalker and heal his wounds.
Yeah.
yeah,
grow
he's
new
like, let me
legs.
grow your legs
Yeah.
back, boo-boo.
And I think I'm not going to say the worst thing about this. I'm going to make one more last point, and then I'll try to move it on. But so yeah, so there's always been the discussion, especially post new trilogy starting, of like, because they canceled a lot of the old canon,
Yeah.
and they said that's not canon anymore. We're going to make our new canon. I was like, okay, great. So because they got rid of a lot of the complicated, super deep stuff. And then they just did exactly the canon that they'd already canceled. Like that, everything with the fucking Emperor like existing, that was canceled canon, and they went back on it. And in addition, now because of what they've done in this movie, because now everything, all the rules that they have established now, I think it just completely destroys the rules of the universe. Like the fact that you can have a character who, with the Emperor, who fucking died in a movie that was 40 years ago, and they're just like, yeah, he's alive now. If you can do that, there are no rules.
I know, it's
like,
gross.
and now now you have limitless possibilities, and they can just be like, so in the future, when plot contrivances arise, they have the option of being like, well, the Force can do this because it's mysterious.
Yeah.
And now they can do that forever. And it's
Star Wars
it's-
needs to
Star
be
Wars.
done.
Yeah, we need to assassinate some people. Anyway, yeah.
Gotta take down the mouse.
Oh no!
Oh no, the camera fell from its perfectly constructed paper towel.
Hey, don't tell them about my cool tower. I need an actual tower. I've been taping it up there,
Yeah.
but obviously that's also a hassle. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
Matt, you're next.
Yeah, my.
all right, we got Star Wars out of the way.
My number 3 worst
guys.
movie of the year.
Fuck.
Down she goes.
Sorry, guys. All right, fuck it.
Saying you don't like the lobster.
You don't like me lobster.
But you at least like my lobster.
Say it. Say it.
Say it.
My third least favorite movie of the year is Under the Silver Lake.
Oh, I've seen a lot of people really liking that movie.
It's very mixed.
it's
for sure.
Interesting.
Justin really likes that movie.
Hey, listen,
Oh.
I'm a journeyman, and I'm all about the journey, not the destination. My man.
Yeah, the journey was bad too.
Love the journey.
It's
Wow.
I actually take it back. This is the most pretentious movie I've seen all year.
Really?
He's not. I don't
okay.
think he's wrong. I don't
It's
think
not
he's wrong.
Velvet Buzzsaw. It is this. It's just like
Actually, I haven't seen a trailer for this. I don't think.
it's just
As you
the
would.
most pretentious thing. It's just like this director was clearly just like, what if I just make a movie it's the same thing that every arrogant fucking director go through, where they're like, I'm gonna make a movie about nothing. I'm gonna make a it's just like, it's the most unnecessarily nihilistic movie in the world, and it's just like unpleasant, and it's incredibly pretentious. I will say that I think Andrew Garfield does a good job. There's a part where he beats up a 12-year-old and shoves an egg in his mouth.
Good.
And that part's pretty good. But it's just like this nonsensical story with like nothing really attaching to anything else. And I will say that a big part of this, I think a big reason that I don't like this movie, is it has a very specific vibe to it. that actually very much is your vibe. Like, I think it has very much like a kind of like that kind of altered reality of like a neon demon, like Nicholas Winding Refn-esque, like
glitzy horror movie.
Yeah, it's not a horror movie.
It's
though.
kind of an
it's not
offbeat
a horror.
world.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an offbeat
yeah.
world, and
Okay.
I can bring this up because it is not on my top 10, but honorable mention for my top 10. I did find a movie this year that did this incredibly well in The Art of Self-Defense, starring Jesse Eisenberg, that I think did this kind of offbeat world in a way that I found incredibly effective. This movie is not that. I think this is like, at the very least, in like the neon demon and things of that nature. Like specifically, I'm gonna talk about the neon demon, but I think a lot of Refn's work portrays this, and I think there's other things that other directors' work that does as well. But at least in the neon demon, they're doing it for the sense of displaying the vanity of the world that they live in.
It's got a theme, and this isn't really. It's more,
This just feels like
yeah.
it's doing it for the sake of doing it. This doesn't. I don't think that this movie lives in this world for a reason. I think it lives in this world because he felt like he was just like, what if everybody's just super fucking weird and like
yeah, and the thing with this, I forgot my train of thought with that.
Yeah,
but
the views
I'm
are all
with
over
you.
the place.
Yeah, it's
the people I follow.
It's a little wild. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
I need to check it out.
Yeah.
It's an experience.
Yeah, actually,
I had to watch this movie in 6 20-minute long chunks because it's also 2.5 hours long, and I would get 20 minutes in, and I would get so pissed off I would have to shut it off and come back like a half hour to an hour later and be like,
I don't think it's like I wouldn't necessarily compare this work to Refn other than kind of like the offbeat world.
No,
but just like I feel like Refn does like.
But just in terms of the offbeat world, I'm not comparing this necessarily to the Neon Demon
Or
in
dry. I mean, just any of his films.
Yeah,
Like I could see why you think I would be attracted to this, and why you wouldn't be, or other people would be. Yeah, and it plays more in that kind of, I don't know what genre you'd put this under. It's like definitely kind of a neo-noir.
Yeah, it's like it's a mystery.
Yeah, and it's
a
like
mystery thriller to an extent, but it's
this really kind of like, it doesn't really focus in the idea of toxic masculinity because they have the whole thing with the woman barking and everything. And it's just like and his kind of like, you know, lazy macho-ness. It's like it's stuff's there, but it's just not. It's like
not enough of an effort is put in for anything
Or
that
it's
he
just
might
too-
be trying to say to functionally actually come through.
or it's too much, and it's just like it's not clear what's
This
going on.
this movie's the definition of too much.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Cool.
But
Very
you might
interesting.
love it, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the place. I feel like I will probably like it more than I won't, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes the other way. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, what you got?
Justin.
Fuck.
Shit, okay. Between Two Ferns, the movie.
Oh,
fucking
Christ,
boring.
yeah.
Hate it. Road movie. Zach Galifianakis is a hack.
Yeah.
Best part of the movie is the bloopers in the end credits.
The bloopers are great. I also think it would have
And
been
the
like
interviews.
I like the interviews. It's just trying to form a narrative around them. It's the most pointless.
I like
thing
the
in
interviews
world.
too 10 years ago, so.
Yeah, there were like some. I still love that joke where it's like right at the beginning of the movie, and it's Matthew McConaughey, and he's like, "I see you're wearing a shirt today.
Oh, yeah.
Is everything all right?"
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
I mean, the bit's been played out, and then to try to
Do a movie.
put a 90-minute narrative around it,
And it's a road movie. It's just, and his cast of characters around him are just annoying, and I'm like, oh god, this is the worst. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I kind of knew I wasn't in for the best time when like Will Ferrell came out playing Will Ferrell.
I was like,
He was like what, the president of Funny and Die.
which I think he
Oh,
is the president.
yeah,
I think he is the
that's his
CEO of
company.
Funny or Die.
Yeah, he usually did found it.
But that's like the whole bit is he's like,
I do a whole like 90-minute on the landlord sketch that he did instead of
the
this
baby
fucking-
landlord.
Yeah,
That's a great sketch.
classic.
I'd take that over this any day.
Yeah, Between Two Ferns was yeah, it's like all of the potentially emotional beats were so I don't know, everything bland and boring about it, like the most milquetoast fucking
I'm just saying.
lukewarm, unoriginal, uninspired, dull. Yeah.
Comedy is truly dead.
I'm just saying, you want to watch Zach
tough.
Galifianakis slay it this year, Missing Link.
Missing Link.
Not the best movie, but Zach Galifianakis is up in here just rocking it.
Okay.
Alright, that's all. I really have nothing to say about that.
It's such a,
There's not much. To
I
say about
don't
it.
blame you at all for having that on your list, but it's such a like nothing movie
Yeah, I know,
that
that's
it's just
yeah.
like
Those are the worst movies for me, is when it's nothing
agree.
or boring.
yeah. All right,
Yeah.
what you got? You're just gonna put number 2 Star Wars Episode 9. We're just gonna
No,
have to
I-
talk
honest-
about it fucking all over
What's
again.
worse? I'm
Honestly,
curious.
I'm just kind of pulling random movies for my bottom 10 because I just kind of feel generally all the same.
That's fair.
So I'm just gonna pull out Noelle, because I want to say
What is Noel?
it's not really a bad
about
movie.
Noelle.
It's not really a bad movie because if the intended audience is really little kids,
Yeah.
then it fucking succeeds
Oh,
so hard.
I
like-
never got through. I never got through either of the.
Hi, baby.
I never got
Sorry.
through any of the 2019 Disney Plus movies. I think I made it 10 minutes into Lady and the Tramp and 2 minutes into
tough.
this,
Oh
and
my
I was
God.
like,
It
nope.
was tough. It was Lady and the Tramp was a tough beat.
I didn't even fucking see that.
It's
I love
rough.
Disney. I was like, I can't fucking do that.
Yeah, I like. But yeah, I literally had to look up what it was because I forgot what Noel was.
Yeah.
So
So
you said giant, so I got you
Damn,
giant.
you
Oh
got
my
me
God.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're
Nice.
good. You're
Fine.
good.
I'm fine. That's fine.
Fucking
I'm 6, so I'll just like fuck with this.
said,
Thank
right?
you. I
I'm right
appreciate
there
it.
with you, my man.
Yeah.
I want to
Thank
see
you,
if you crush. Can you crush it by the time you get to the end of the pod?
Hell
for
yeah.
sure I can.
Oh
Nice.
wow, thank you.
All right.
That shit
All right.
nice. Noelle. Wait, I haven't said anything about it. Yeah, so Noelle is a massive
Fun time.
cringe fest. It looks pretty.
Love
I
Anna
still
Kendrick.
love Anna Kendrick. I still love Bill Hader. Everything about their writing was awful and hateable. But if I have kids and it's Christmas time, I'm gonna put this movie on.
You're
Because-
gonna watch Noel.
Yeah, they're gonna watch
It's a new
Noelle,
Christmas classic.
and I do think it's horrible, but like from an adult perspective, it is like wonderfully enjoyable how fucking horrible it is. So, yeah, but I don't know. It's a
Interesting.
kids movie. Maybe it
The
shouldn't
most
be on here,
predictable
but
thing.
that's I watched
No,
it.
fuck
so,
that.
Yeah,
It's
awful.
Kids movie's still a movie.
It was. I enjoyed it, but it was awful. So yeah, that's it.
At least it's not Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Oh, yeah, dude. Old movies that have like an excess of really bad PS2 graphics CGI
Yeah.
make me like nauseous because it's like that part of your brain that's like this.
That's
isn't
what Hellboy's
working.
like.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Even the
yeah, I can
effects
see
in it
that.
are bad.
No, the effects in it are absolutely horrendous.
Oh, that's super embarrassing. Okay, I'm actually more.
They're
interested
not.
In seeing
They're not PS2 bad. They're like.
Yeah.
They're like middle of the run PS3 bad.
That's still awful for 2019.
Yeah.
That's standard. Okay. Yeah.
Are you tapped on Noel? You done?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing to say about
yeah.
it. It's a kid's Christmas movie.
Number 2 on my list is the Netflix original film The Perfection.
Oh yeah.
I kept hearing a lot about this
Yeah, me
one.
too.
Yeah, so it's almost fascinating because it's kind of this, it gives this intent that it's trying to be this like mystery thriller, but how it chooses to do that is it throws like a movie changing twist at you every 10 to 15 minutes. So literally the movie will be the trajectory of this movie is essentially if it starts down here, it goes bah, bah,
Yeah.
bah,
So
bah,
it's
bah,
kind
bah,
of
bah, bah.
like Red States.
It's kind of like Red State, but Red State, I think the changes are more subtle.
Yeah.
This movie is just like, it's insane and it's horrible.
What the fuck is going on in this trailer?
So that's the thing is like,
she's like sick, and there's like bugs crawling in her.
Right?
I don't.
I saw that.
Do either of you care at all about this
No,
movie? Because
no.
the
I
best
mean-
way to describe how bad this movie is just to give like a 3-minute plot synopsis of everything that happens in the movie.
Try to avoid the most like. I don't. Yeah. Okay.
It's all of it is.
But yeah. Okay. I love movies that are fascinatingly awful, so I might want to watch it. But okay, go ahead.
Okay, so basically, I'll give you the general plot then. Is that the African American lady, or I think she's British, but she's this like violin.
Prodigy. That's what it says in the description.
Yeah, so she's like a famous violinist, who's like playing on the world stage, who went to this really prestigious school. And the white lady from Girls was
Williams.
Which one?
Marnie, I think.
Allison Williams.
The brunette one.
The lady from Get Out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
in Get Out, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So she went to this school and was like on the track to become essentially where this other lady is, and then had to go home to deal with family stuff, and it didn't work out that way, and they meet, and then they kind of like start this romance. Well, it's nothing if not unpredictable. That's fair. That's fair, trailer. It
looks that way. Timely and twisted.
It's so... You're just like, you will be transfixed that anything could possibly be this bad.
Okay. Just keeps making bad decisions and it just doesn't stop.
Yeah, the problem is, if any of the decisions, like, as Justin knows, I've watched a lot of genre horror this year, and if any of the twists in this movie had been the final twist of a movie, it would have been a perfectly sufficient, like, genre horror movie, but it just has, like, 12 of them.
Oh.
So it never gives
Yikes.
you any, like, really barring, and, like, these two are both decent, but, like, it's, like, they're both decent, but everybody else in the movie is horrible, and
Nice.
it's
good.
Nice.
yeah, it's just like I can't really fully rant about this movie without spoiling the entire movie, so I won't, because I do want you to watch it, because it
looks like my type of
it's
awful
historically absurd.
movie.
I think it's like an hour and 37 minutes, and it
okay.
feels like it's 3 hours long. It's shocking. But yeah, that's all.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah, that
about
sounds
that.
pretty
Let me
interesting.
grab my 2-liter.
Justin, your second worst movie of the year.
It's The Hustle, starring Rebel Wilson and Hathaway.
How fucking rough is that?
That was
yeah,
tough.
this looks so generic.
That was tough, and it's so it's a remake of one of my favorite comedies from the 80s called Dirty Rotten
yeah.
Scoundrels, which starred Steve Martin and Michael Caine. Terrific, really funny, great comedy. So it's the exact same script, except gender flipped.
Okay.
And literally, the jokes are the same. The
Yikes.
story is the same.
Yikes.
Everything about it is the exact same thing. So everything that Lion King did, this movie did too.
I bet a man directed this. Yep.
Yep.
Directed by a
So
man.
and the man who directed it also is he'll come up in the trailer. He's actually in the movie. He's
the tech geek?
Yeah, he's a tech geek.
Oh.
Yeah, so you saw this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
this
watched
movie's
this
rough.
movie. I finished this movie right before the last day of Alex's first short that we shot this year, the like night
Oh
shoot,
yeah.
where we were at Cafe Racer. I literally
Oh, I
finished
remember you
the
were telling me
hustle
about
on
that,
my
yeah.
phone,
Yeah.
and then we walked to set. It's bad.
It's rough. It's just like it doesn't do any. It doesn't like a comedy that doesn't really do anything new for the genre,
It's
or
the
at least
worst kind of movie.
yeah, it's not great at all. So
If I can just say, I never thought somebody would drain on me as emotionally and intensely that I have found that Rebel Wilson drains on me, and I feel really bad about that. But I have been saying this and do wholeheartedly believe this, that somehow in as bizarre and out of place of a movie as 2019's Cats is, Rebel Wilson is still somehow the most out of place part of that entire movie.
I know,
It's baffling. Like, I just remember being like, why are you here? Like, I don't know.
It's rough.
I have like a
And
2-hour-long Cats rant, but I'm not gonna do it.
So is this movie then officially in the catalog of just the gender flop remakes, as in like Ghostbusters, Ocean's 11? Would you put it in that
I
category?
would, but I'd say this does it worse because this doesn't do anything new. It's literally, you watch 3 Round Scoundrels, then watch this. It's exactly the same. It's almost like name for name, word for word, dialogue for dialogue, almost exactly the same. And it takes away all the comedy breath that Michael Caine and Steve Martin had. And Ian McDiarmid is the butler in it.
Oh.
In the original.
Oh.
Not this one. Not this one. Not this one. But yeah, no, not great. I would highly recommend the original.
Yeah.
I would. If you want to watch The Hustle, I would highly recommend.
I'm sorry. I guess it's the original's not the original. That is also a remake of a comedy from the 50s.
I believe that.
Fred Astaire in it. But regardless, it does the thing where it's like it's like the Thing remake where it's like the Thing remakes the same thing, but at least the Thing remake kind of added more mythos to.
At least
the
they
Thing.
got Kurt Russell, not Rebel Wilson.
That's true.
Rebel Wilson in the Thing sequel. That would have been
Can you
great.
imagine?
It would have been
Yeah.
perfect.
But she has to be playing Jenny Annie Dots, and she has to unzip her own skin at least twice.
That was the worst thing I've ever seen.
That was rough.
And I fucking love cats.
Ugh.
Yeah, I think.
So what happens to them? Do they just die?
No, well, the idea is that they get born into their next life because cats
Yeah.
have 9 lives.
okay.
But
We don't.
Cats.
So.
But Cats is actually the story of a brave group of cats that pick one special cat
It's.
by doing American Idol,
Well, see,
and then
it's
they,
not-
and then
see,
they
the thing is
sacrifice it
not
to
a
the
singing
sun.
competition. It's not.
It's
who's the
not.
best
It's just
singer.
how they
It's a talent
introduce
show.
it. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's more of a, I'd say, like a performance art situation
But
than an actual musical.
I would say
Not
in
the
that
movie.
scenario, I would say that in that case, Grisabella the Glamour Cat did not deserve to be the Jellicle choice
Yeah,
because
Gus
her
did.
song told us nothing about her.
No. Because
Uh,
it's based off a fucking poem.
I
Those are
would've-
all poems.
I would have done
know.
the magic guy, because who the fucking do magic? That's pretty
fucking.
incredible.
Mr. Mustafa? I had a cat named Mr. Mustafa.
I sang Mr. Mistopheles at karaoke last week. Me and Rachel
hell
Weinkoff
yeah.
duetted Mr. Mistopheles.
Jesus.
What a bop.
No, it's fucking all about Skimbleshanks the Railway Cat. Hands
He's great.
down.
He's great. He's great.
It's the best part of that movie because you settle into the absurdity so perfectly.
And
'cause
he's actually talented, so you're like, well, this is cool.
he is, but then you spend the first like 5 minutes of that song
is,
being like, wait, who is Skimbleshanks the Railway Cat? Because it's like
That's
get
it.
exactly
That
what you
is
get.
it.
and then you
It
just
is.
but no, because it's like.
Please don't play the trailer again. I really hate looking at this movie.
All right, I'll stop derailing everything to talk about cats.
right.
Don't
We'll
talk
get back to
about
this,
cats
Caitlin.
at all.
Outta here with
We won't
cats.
get into it.
Alright, I fucking hate The Hustle. It's not great. Do not watch it.
Yeah,
But
it's a
if you
really
do watch
bad
it,
movie.
watch it with 3 Round Scoundrels so you get something better.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, what's your worst movie of the year, Nick?
My worst movie of the year is, I believe it was a Hulu movie called The Poison Rose. Poison Rose.
Oh no, it's an Amazon film.
Amazon. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the Poison Rose.
It's a John Travolta Morgan Freeman movie.
Yeah.
that
Johnny making the list twice here?
that
Come on.
I only
Wait,
know
what?
about because you reviewed it.
my
Jokes
God.
on you, Justin. We're only ever watching the Hustle trailer for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, so
Blow my
this, I
brains out.
don't have a whole lot to say about it because it's one of those movies where it's so awful and so lifeless that there is so little to pick apart. The opening line of this movie is a voiceover of John Travolta being something to the effect of like, I'm a broken man. I like 3 things: drinking, gambling, and
6 or so. It was drinking, gambling, and something else. So it's like the most, everything about it is the most generic thing you could possibly imagine. Literally every single scene, the whole plot revolves around John Travolta as investigator, and he's hired to fucking solve something. Like, that's it. And every single scene, which is being displayed here perfectly,
Every single scene he goes, I'm a broken man.
is essentially him giving a very plain, boring performance with awful, unoriginal, uninspired writing, and the content of every single scene is he goes to someone's house or walks around with them and talks to them and investigates them, and then he leaves and he does it to. And then he goes and he finds someone else.
Is that Brendan Fraser?
Yes, Brendan Fraser play. It's
Poor guy.
It's,
I know.
He might be
He's
back
back,
on the
though.
rise. He
Well,
might be on the rise.
No, he's back. He's
no,
in.
he's never gonna be back.
He's
poor
in.
guy. I know he's in a show. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in one of the
I hear he's good in
DC
the show.
original shows that's
Oh,
like
good.
He
incredibly
is?
highly rated.
Oh.
He's the voice of.
The voice.
He's the voice of Robot Man in the Doom Patrol.
So he
TV
doesn't
show.
actually make an appearance.
But he
He's
is on a
he's
show,
in
though.
it. You see him because it's like the whole thing is that he was some like Playboy millionaire or whatever, and
okay.
he almost died and he had his brain put into a robot. But a friend of
course.
mine actually does the physicality of the robot.
Oh.
And then Brendan Fraser voices him.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope that goes well for him, because everything about this is awful. It's incredibly boring. None of the actors are trying. Nothing about the writing is
I don't
original.
think Morgan Freeman's tried
So,
since the bucket list.
I agree. I completely agree. He doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to.
You know, well, I don't know. He doesn't have to, but at the same time, it's like, dude, like, come on. You can't just give us this
Also-
many zero effort performances in a row.
Well, also
Like,
he's like a
fuck.
gross sexist, and we should probably stop
really?
hiring him. Oh yeah.
How's that?
Oh, he was apparently like talking to a bunch of people for years and years and years, like female PAs and interns about their tight pussies.
Okay.
Things like that. He got.
That's what we like.
Yeah, he got me too. he got me too. And everybody just pretended it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah.
I'll look into that.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Fuck that cunt.
Yeah.
Don't watch this movie then.
All right. You got anything else on the Poison Rose?
Poison Rose.
All right.
So lifeless.
My least favorite movie of the year was Men in Black International.
Oh man, I started that and I gave up on it because I hated it so much.
I don't have that much to say about Men in Black International. I think I have the perfect way to sum it up. And it's that Men in Black International was awful to the point where it was hard to keep my eyes focused on the screen. They were just literally, they would like defocus and my brain would just be like, just look at your phone. Just look at anything. To the point where I really, at the end of it, was sitting there and I was like, can I count this? And had to run through, like, I was like, how much of this was I actually able to watch? And had to like run through the plot and be like, okay, I know what happened in the movie.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Nobody's trying. I think Adam summed it up really well. Adam Boyer, who was a past guest of the podcast, summed it up really well. Because he was just like, it's like everybody in the movie got told that they were the comic relief, so nobody wants to be the straight man. So it's just like everyone trying to one-up each other with one-liners for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And it's joyless. It's a horrible movie.
Yeah. That would probably be in my bottom 5 if I finished it, but I didn't even get in halfway.
Yeah.
I don't think I even got a quarter of the way in. 'Cause
It
I
was-
despising it so
It was
much.
brutal. I watched this and Dark Phoenix in the same day.
Oh. Well, I know you had more mild feelings about that than most people.
I mean, it's not a good movie. I just think that if we're living in a world where we're gonna shit so severely on Dark Phoenix, we've truly forgotten what it was like to experience X-Men: The Last Stand, and we should count ourselves
That is a
lucky.
great point.
That's all I'm saying.
That is an excellent point.
Because that movie is
forgot about
nowhere near as bad
Or-
as X-Men.
Oh,
Last
well, what
Stand.
about X-Men Origins Wolverine?
Yeah,
I think that was even worse than
I would
Origins
I'd agree with that.
I would say that Dark Phoenix is like a middling X-Men movie. It's
Yeah.
far from the worst X-Men movie.
I agree.
That's a good point. I had honestly forgotten.
And,
about
like,
this.
Those movies are just, no matter how bad they are, and that movie is bad, I feel like just like James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender are still so talented
Yep.
that it's hard to be like,
Yeah.
just watch them and be like, oh, all of this was shit. Because even if it's complete shit, you're like, yeah, but they were still good.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I don't know. But there's nothing like that in Men in Black International. It's a
Yeah.
fucking shit pile.
That's good. All right, Justin,
I just want to get around to that one.
your worst movie of the year.
Count yourself lucky you didn't.
We got a movie called The Dirt. It's about Motley
yeah.
Crue and their kind of rise to fame.
This is a Netflix movie, right?
Yeah, so 3 Netflix films have made it onto this list.
Only 3?
Yeah,
Noel.
Velvet Buzzsaw,
Noel was
Noel's
one.
Disney
for
Plus.
me, but
Oh, you're
yeah.
right.
But yeah, I guess we could count all of us. We have there's a couple on there. There's like 5. It looks 5 or 6.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 Netflix movies. I think we have 2 a list.
Yeah. So The Dirt's about Motley Crue and their rise to fame. It's just edgy for the sake of being edgy, and it's just really atrocious. No one's likable. There's a lot of bad acting in it. The drummer guy is terrible. I think his name's Machine Gun Kelly.
Wait, Machine Gun Kelly is acting in this movie?
Yeah, he's
a
the
rapper.
drummer.
Acted in multiple things.
Oh,
And I
he's a
didn't
rapper,
realize
yeah.
it for a while.
He's not good in this, and
He's kind of a
it's just kind of like, the story of Motley Crue is so big that it's just kind of hard to tell this kind of thing in like 2 hours. It has a lot of stuff that Bohemian Rhapsody suffered through, but I felt like this is worse.
So I was gonna make the thing. It seems like if Rocket Man was like everything good about Bohemian Rhapsody distilled into a movie, this seems like it's everything bad about Bohemian Rhapsody distilled into a movie.
Yeah, and it's 2 hours and like some minutes long, and it's
that
it's
the guy
rough.
from the
Do
Mighty
they
Boosh?
include the fact that like multiple members of the band during this era basically sexually assaulted many people
They
and were
for
just kind of
sure
awful,
did
terrible
not
people?
They didn't cover
that.
that, but they did talk about how they did sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
There's
they did
a
all
great
that, but
scene.
there's a lot of history. These guys did these guys were just fucking.
There's an
people.
amazing scene though where actor's playing Ozzy Osbourne. He pees like by the pool and then licks the pool pee, and it's incredible.
I think that's actually that was
I
actually
believe
real.
that's true. Yeah.
Well, Ozzy Osbourne was like biting the heads off bats.
Oh, yeah.
and shit.
That was he actually thought it was a dead bat, but yeah, nonetheless. He
So
did it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I wish the movie was about Ozzy Osbourne because I could have
Oh,
watched
yeah.
him forever. But
Yeah.
and the actor
More
playing him
interesting.
wasn't bad. But like it's
just
rough.
just top edgelord content.
It's
kind of
the great. It is top.
and the fact
top
that
shelf.
it doesn't include all the fucking horrible aspects of these people's personalities.
As
It's
you
kind
know,
of-
as
most
yeah.
music. I
That's
think
true.
Like
that's
even
true.
like let's like a great biopic musical or music group film, Straight Outta Compton, like
yes.
barely glances over at Dr. Dre's stuff.
Yeah,
well, and
that's
it
true.
But they'll fucking
avoids
cream
it
easy.
avoids a lot of things
Yeah.
because so many of these are partially funded by the members of the band. Like that's
of
why
course.
Bohemian Rhapsody was so like turned Freddie Mercury into such a villain, which Freddie Mercury probably was not a great guy, but like every other member of Queen is alive and was like, no, we didn't do that, he did that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, everything about Bohemian Rhapsody was.
Yeah, it's a bad movie.
Music-
but
It is a bad one.
Yeah,
Fuck that.
music group biopics is just really a tough thing to. Except Rocket Man, baby.
It's gonna be
There's
weird.
some goodies out there.
It's gonna be weird when we're older, and they're just gonna start doing like Green Day biopics.
Have you guys
and
seen the
Muse
Aretha
biopics.
Franklin one?
It'd be weird.
Have you seen the preview for the Aretha
I
Franklin
have. Yeah, that
one?
one looks interesting.
It's literally there's nothing. It's just like her. Is it Jennifer Hudson
Mhm.
as Aretha Franklin singing the first 3 lines of the song "Respect" as respect lights up behind her in neon letters, and it just goes, Jennifer Hudson, and then it cuts back to her going, oh, I want, and then it cuts and it goes, is Aretha Franklin, and then it's something else.
It's a rough gig.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So there it
Alrighty,
is.
hell yeah, that's each of our 5 worst movies of 2019. I like this. We didn't have any repeats.
That's really cool.
and I
That's
like that.
interesting.
Makes it
I
fun.
thought I was gonna have some repeats with Justin at
No,
the very
I
least.
watched some crap, and you watched a lot of different crap too.
I did. I think I watched a lot of movies that maybe I'm the only one who's seen
Yeah.
ever.
And then some just got moved up and down the list a bit. So yeah, no, it looks good.
We live in a world where I had such a bad year for films that I didn't get to talk about The Professor, starring Johnny Depp.
I forgot about
What is the professor?
It's Johnny Depp's movie this year where he plays a dying college professor,
Okay.
and it's a real steaming pile of shit.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
My honorable mentions were Figure It Out on the Hey Dude Trail, which is a hiking documentary on
I
Amazon.
kind of want to watch it.
The Axiom, which my friend worked
I heard
on.
about that one.
The Professor, The Curse of La Llorona from the same universe as The Conjuring. And Down, which is the worst thing that the Hulu original series Into the Dark had to offer. It's an elevator movie.
Dishonorable shout out to
Oh, yeah.
Rambo: Last Blood.
Oh, what a shit pile of a movie. That's
You ended that franchise so well in 2008 that you just shit the bed so hard with this new epilogue, and it doesn't even feel like a epilogue. It just feels like here we
It was
are.
my 12th worst least favorite movie of the year.
It's such a bummer because I love the Rambo films. Now one just shit the bed so hard. So
Yeah.
anyway, all right.
All right. So we're on to top of the year, right?
Top 10 of 2019.
All right. Do we want to take a fiver?
I'm down.
I would
jump
love
right
to.
in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, you
Alright.
want? Yeah, you can go.
Well,
Top five.
if you guys
Well,
start,
we'll
I'm
keep
just gonna
going.
pee.
Actually,
yeah.
I'm gonna take a moment while you're doing that to talk about Notes from Melanie. That's my only other bad movie. I watched.
the cover of this.
Chris Stuckman's movie.
Oh no, I saw you
Oh!
post this. It's,
My dude, yeah, I heard about. So you
Yeah.
talked a little bit about this.
So
yeah.
the only real thing I wanted to bring up
But that's
is
a short film, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a short
cool,
film. It's I don't know. It brings up the question of like how do you oh god, how do you
Looking for
objectively like rate and review movies when the person creating the movie already has a very extremely large, extremely dedicated fan base who will kind of just say nice things about them no matter what they make. And I think that's just obviously that's just an extremely dangerous, or not dangerous, but in terms of like making sure that good quality content comes to the forefront, it's just kind of worrying because like.
Well, does he like? I think it's important for a filmmaker to sort out, what is good and what isn't good, and if Chris Stuckman kind of leans into like the nicety of it all, then it's not going to get him far as a filmmaker.
It's
at all.
hypocritical.
Yeah.
It's deeply hypocritical.
Yeah.
And I don't think he is. Well, the thing is, he's been silent. I don't think he's actually responded to anything that people have said about his movie because it's like, I don't know. It's weird because it's not really a bad short film, but like, from someone who's been reviewing movies for 10 years and I'm pretty sure has had other film experience, he's been at least trying to work in the industry for all that time. Like, this really feels like someone who's never read a script in their entire life. Like, it is the most generic, painfully cliche, annoying dialogue of the year, I think, for me.
It's a tough transition too
Yeah.
when you are an established critic.
Yeah.
And you do the transition into film. You either commit all the way and do work primarily on film and leave the critiquing behind, or because like Francis Truffaut was a critic and then he went into filmmaking and he's now renowned he was a renowned French filmmaker and changed the game. But
The window.
but as a
There's like people in here though.
Yeah, and I'm.
Oh, you'd rather not? Okay, yeah.
If,
oh, of
if
course.
that's
Sorry,
okay,
sorry.
I'm
I don't know.
sorry.
I said I was gonna go. I was
Okay.
planning on going
Oh,
outside.
cool.
No, you're right. That was
It's
fine.
my
Yeah.
lighter over here. I'm so fucking sorry.
No, you're fine.
You're golden.
Yeah, I was gonna be responsible.
No, you're golden. No sweat.
No, you're chill. Normally I wouldn't care, but
No, yeah.
just because I'm like trying to imagine like the smoke. Going,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Going
I'm
through
on the up
throat,
and up
I'm
from all that bullshit.
Yeah.
So.
I'm gonna be going
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big
it's-
change. I quit smoking this year.
Dude,
Yeah.
Nice.
how long have you been?
My last cigarette was in early June.
That is amazing.
So yeah.
Amazing you didn't light up during East of the Mountains.
Oh, I had a vape I had a Juul
okay.
during East of the Mountains, and I was burning through like a cartridge and a
no.
half a day. And then after East of the Mountains, I just quit.
Good man.
Yeah, that's good. Nice.
And then 2 weeks later, they were like,
Yeah.
vapes are killing people. And I was
because
like,
I used to
yeah.
only smoke weed through a vape, and even that I'm like, no.
yeah.
I'm just gonna. Well, and that's like a lot, like a really high percentage. I'm
Yeah.
like,
It is too much.
fuck.
It's too much for a human.
Yeah, no, it's bad. I mean, that,
Yeah.
if you can't go either or, like you know,
Yeah.
you gotta commit to one or the other.
Yeah, the problem I have is, I mean, I'm only looking on Letterboxd, but it's one of those things where, like, the emotional response I'm getting from people is that everyone wants to like it, and everyone's being really nice because he's a famous YouTuber, but a lot. I'll just put it this way: a lot of these reviews have no star rating. They're just it's like people who
That's
still
the flex. My review of Joker has no star rating. I was just like, this is a movie. It's
tough.
That
because-
movie's
Yeah.
traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to check that. Anyway,
Speaking
yeah.
of bad dialogue,
Yeah?
I just hope that there's a part in Joker where he's showing somebody his journal, and it says, "I just hope that my death makes more sense than my life," but sense is spelled CENTS because he can't spell. And like words are backwards. It looks like a 6-year-old wrote the journal. I'm so excited for you to see this movie.
Oh yeah, that's a weird decision.
My dad loves the Joker.
Does he?
There are people who say it was their favorite movie of the year.
I mean,
believe
Joaquin
it.
Phoenix just won a Golden Globe, so
Well, I know, like, the
I
movie
believe
critic
that.
YouTubers, more than any other fan base, receive the most hate from DC fans. Like, it's the subject that they're the most wary to talk about because they get so many messages from fucking 12-year-olds that are like, "I'm gonna find you and kill you."
about what?
DC movies, in general, like,
Yeah.
when they get bad reviews, YouTubers get like way more shit than any other type of movie or medium.
Yep.
Oops.
Oops.
Sorry, you guys like bad movies.
Except, God forbid, if you say you like Captain Marvel at the beginning of the year.
No, Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was in my bottom 10 for a while, but it just kind of.
I like Captain Marvel, but
okay.
everybody was just like, Brie Larson's a woman, and they got their pitchforks, and they were like,
Yeah, that's not a good reason to hate it. Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that was like the first instance this year of something getting like review bombed before it ever came out.
Right.
Was like
Oh yeah.
the people just like firebombed Captain Marvel because before it ever came out.
Well, yeah, because she made the very neutral, like, logical statement about how there should be more female interviewers and movie critics because there's more representation, and people got really fucking upset about that. It's like, what the fuck?
she got primarily pointed out by that because she made comments saying like, you know, I don't want a white guy telling my story, and I'm like
Yeah.
intense, but I definitely see your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
an unfair
Yeah.
statement.
She had bad word choice, but like the intent was obviously
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
fucking bad. It's
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just made a bad film this year. It's all good. Unicorn Story.
Yeah, she did make a bad film this year. And she made some good ones too.
Yeah, like
She's in
Sorry,
Captain.
what?
She's in Captain
Captain
Marvel, which
Marvel.
I do.
and then she's so in Just Mercy, so you know.
Yeah, and
then
she's
Kong Skull Island, you know, she's not great, and so is Tommy Hiddleston, but man, John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly
is
fucks
incredible.
in Kong Skull Island, and Kong fucks in Kong Skull Island.
Dude, there was like a little leak of Kong versus Godzilla.
where it was him going into
Yeah,
the punch.
dude,
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
League of Godzilla and King Kong.
yeah. It looked
Ooh.
King Kong's